Okay, so let's talk about security. If before we get into local AI, let's just kind of like frame the problem really quick. So typically in like a security instance with AI, like what is the concern, right? So one concern would be that, oh wow, I'm going to give all of the access to my, let's say my Google Drive with all of this like proprietary information. Maybe it's contractor, social security numbers, and employee sensitive data, et cetera, inside of my Google Drive. And now AI is going to have all that information and it's going to get leaked out to the world, right? So you have
Yep.
that level of security issue. The next one is that I'm going to give it access to my files and my data, and it's going to mess all of it up, right? It's going to delete everything, or it's going to put a bunch of edits to things that shouldn't be edited, or all that kind of stuff, right? Which can happen, right? It's very possible. So that's another security concern. The next security concern is that I'm going to put all of this stuff, let's say I'm a contractor and I am a specialty contractor with a proprietary process that only I know how to do this thing, and it's my secret sauce or
Yeah.
something along
Trade
those lines.
secrets.
And I'm going to be using ChatGPT, and I'm going to put in my secrets to be able to put into nice visuals or whatever I'm doing. I don't know. Now that ChatGPT has that information and it's going to train the model on that data that I gave it and then give those answers to other users, right? Because it's training on this model and it learned my secret sauce, and then someone's going to ask about my secret sauce and it's going to give them the secret sauce, right? So that's the next security concern. There's also some other things to think about, but those are what I would say would be like the primary three security concerns, right? A huge, massive amount of data leak that I'm going to be compromised on, nefarious actions that AI is going to take inside of my organization because it has access to the tools or the files, and then stealing my IP, essentially, stealing my proprietary information, and sharing it with the world through not necessarily a data leak, but through it training the
Answering
model on how to do
questions.
my
Yeah.
stuff and answering questions, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So how do you get around something like this? One, stop using the free models and pay for it, because if anything that it's using on the free version, right? So you go into a free ChatGPT account, it is 100% training on that information. Okay. So,
Even though it says it isn't, because I've asked it if it was.
well, you're not on a free
It's,
version.
oh, that's
You're
true.
paying for Claude. Okay. What
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
is if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, and sorry, not just the free version of the AI, but their tooling. So for example, you're using Google Drive on a Gmail account that's free. Anything that's inside there, Gemini could be training on. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're there's the saying that like, if it's free, you are the product,
Right.
right?
Yeah. If you
Same thing
can't tell
applies
what
to
the
this.
product is, it's you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
So
let me ask this real quickly in passing.
yeah.
If I am paying for my Google Drive, which I am, it's not. It
So
still gets
then,
read, doesn't it?
yeah, it still gets read, but the main concern is, and we can talk about HIPAA in a little bit, but the main concern is that Google is taking your trade secrets and training their models on your trade secrets. So then those become public domain knowledge, because I can then go to Gemini and say, well, what does ABC construction do? Or how does this apply? And they're teaching people based off of what they've learned from you, right? So a couple of things that you need to check in all of these platforms, that if you're using the AI or even if they have AI baked in, is by default, I would hope that they are not training on your data by default. It's like hey, I'll allow you to do it, like a toggle box. Yes, I'm okay if you train on my interactions with you, right? That's turned on by default, and you can't turn it off on the free versions. On the paid versions,
Right.
if you're on, like, for example, Claude, and this is as of July 15th, 2026. This can change at any point. If you are a paying user, Martin, like yourself,
Right.
but not on an organization account. So like for Anthropic Claude, you would have to have a minimum of 5 users, right?
Well, if you're getting to that button, I have turned it off. I managed to find it and turn it off.
By default, that button's turned on.
It was on. I
So
had to, don't remember exactly how I found it, but I
Yep.
was able to. So, listener, you'll be able to also.
Exactly. So it's just in the settings, but if you're just paying for a Claude account, and I believe it's the same for ChatGPT, it would be called a pro account on Claude. I believe it's a plus account on ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken. They changed the names to these things. It's training on your data by default. I'm not necessarily worried. I think most of our listeners don't actually have trade secrets, if we're being honest. Maybe there is some sort of secret sauce, but I don't know that that's necessarily.
Well, just something very, very shallow level, but I put my financials in and somebody Googles, nobody cares about my financials, but some of my clients, I just say, hey, how's old so-and-so doing? And could it possibly pull up their financials?
That's not really how it works, right?
Okay.
So it's not like it's adding it to a
Data.
Google Drive database and then anybody can query that database and say, hey, what did Martin upload? That's not how it works. They're using that model to train, they're using that data to train the model on how to read financials and what financials look like and what types of errors are in financials and what are the common things and
Okay.
right? So
Not
it's
really memorizing my data.
exactly.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah, it makes sense.
so that's kind of how that works. Okay. So if you're on the team account, like an organization account, that setting is turned off by default. Okay. So it's not training on your company's data by default. Now there gets into the question of like, well, do you trust Anthropic? Do you believe that they're telling the truth? Okay. And how are you going to know? They're not a public company. They don't have to disclose. They don't have to show records of like them not training on this. So there's that level of worry, right? But now we're getting into the point like, do you trust Google? Do you trust Microsoft? If Google is not abiding by their agreements and training on your data when they said they weren't, how big of a lawsuit is that? And who's going to be the one that takes them down, right? Okay, so we have that. Now, to the point that I really want to make is, if you are not paying for this, for these services, I guarantee you, your employees are using AI and they are using the free version and they are uploading this data to AI. Make sense?
Okay. How so? No, it doesn't yet to me.
All right. So let's say, for example,
So I'm on a company computer and I go get a free.
I see it all the time. I literally see it every single day.
Okay. So I'm using company information on my computer.
I've got to work on this project for work. I could save 2 hours if I used Claude or used ChatGPT to help me with this. My company doesn't pay for my account. I'm just going to go and log into my personal account, which is a free version, and I'm going to upload this company data so I can move forward on this project faster. Right? It's happening. It's happening. Okay. So what do? You pay for an account, right? You say you have an AI policy. You make sure that everyone's trained on it and they understand the implications, just like a phishing attempt on your email, right? It could happen to anybody. It happens literally even the hacks that you're seeing that are these massive hacks, they're not like these like crazy cyber people that hacked the mainframe, and no, they're they creating a very elaborate phishing attempt that's sent via email, and someone with permission to all these things ends up clicking it, and they get access to the email, and then they just access the login and go in and attack the system. Yeah. Right? So all that being said, this is these are kind of the primary things that people think about and need to be concerned about. Now, I would say for most contractors, you don't need to be sitting here thinking about security issues with like Anthropic or OpenAI or Gemini to your company at this level. Because, and unless you're talking about things where you have employee contracts and there's sensitive information in there that you have like, hiring laws that you've got to abide by or something along those lines. If it's like your SOPs and you're worried about Google having access to them, like I tell you to have a reality check that like you're not that special, right?
Yeah, but HR, you mentioned that earlier, HR employee information was among the original information that had to be in a locked file cabinet.
Exactly.
So if it's out there.
But if you're on a team account of Claude, what I would say to you, and of OpenAI, ChatGPT, if you're on a business level plan of Google Workspace and using Gemini that way, what I would say to you, if you're comfortable putting it into a Google Drive, like a paid Google Drive, you should be comfortable putting it into Claude. Okay. Now, let's say you're a biomedical, like doing research that's proprietary and you're doing these expensive experiments. Okay, now you've got some really proprietary information, right? That if Anthropic decided to train its models on or get access to, it's going to be able to basically wipe out your company, right? That's when you start talking about, okay, I don't want Anthropic trading on it.
If this episode brought you clarity, we've got plenty more where that came from. Check out our full library at thecashflowcontractor.com. See you in the next one.